Patron Rhiannon says, I'm late to this episode. So sorry if this question is covered already. Looking forward to watching the whole thing later. You are both awesome. Thank you. What are your top 3 suggestions for Christians to think about when it comes to faith and money? Spending, saving, giving. Now, we already have spoken about this somewhat, but it might be good just to kind of...
Yeah. I'll give a shameless plug. Mark Barnes and I have a podcast within New Polity called Good Money. And this is really the topic, is how do we use our money so as to become saints? Some practical things, some theoretical things. We try and usually weave those together into single episodes. But I think the first rules for money, the first one has to be that money is a placeholder. So always know what it's holding a place for. Never save a dollar that you don't know where you're going to spend it. And so that's a tough one, and I haven't completely figured out all of that yet, but I'm doing a pretty good job about it, like trying to convert and
isn't there something to be said of saving money for a rainy day, or no?
Sure. No, but then you're saving it for a rainy day.
Okay.
So this is a really interesting one because we can't have a general savings account, which a lot of people tend to do in this country because we don't know what it's for. But having an emergency fund is a different thing. Granted that we understand that we live in a world that has catastrophe within it. What good would money have done Job? That's a real thing that we have to sit with. Now, there's other things like, okay, somebody crashed into my car and didn't have insurance, or there was a...
Turn that off.
Oh, we're not smoking anymore.
Yeah, I think it's the bottom one, the very bottom one.
And money's just really not going to be the security that God is. And when we try and have a replacement for God, who is infinite, we're going to try and save, ad infinitum, as it were. And so there needs to be some care of just saying, what seems generally reasonable for our family, and trying to meet that number. So I'll just say, we have $20,000 for our rainy day fund that we saved up for our family. Now, am I going to take that out when the brakes fail on my car? Well, if it was absolutely sudden, maybe. But I should know that when my car brakes are reaching 50,000 miles and need to be replaced. That rainy day fund really needs to be saved for an unexpectedly rainy day. And we can't make excuses out of that. So I would say something like that.
That's good. So she asked for 3. So that was the first one.
Oh, man.
To assign your money.
Yep. I think there's another thing is that money, whether you like it or not, it makes you look like you're a god. You're able to do things with it that people aren't able to do if they didn't have it. Yeah. A man who's sweating on a hill to build his house is clearly a man, but he who writes a check and hands it over to a contractor and does not sweat, does not have the curse of after the fall. At that point, he starts to look like a god. And isn't that the case with Gates and Bezos and all these guys who seem to be doing multiple things at once? It's not really them doing everything, though they even appear to be in multiple places at once. Wait, he was in just Costa Rica, and then he was in Seattle, and then, they have this godlike ability or look as if they do. But that's exactly why God also gave us the virtue of beneficence. This is the gift of, or the virtue of giving good gifts, giving well. And whether we like it or not, we're going to look like a god. So you have to look more like an icon of the one true God than an idol as a false god. So I'd say that's a second thing. And there's some really practical ways of giving well in your local community to your friends, even if you don't have that much money. There's only one virtue, St. Thomas says, that really demands an enormous amount of money, and that's magnificence. But liberality, generosity, almsgiving, they don't require a lot of money. So there's different ways that we can start to look, godlike, as a proper icon of our Creator. And then maybe a third rule of thumb is invest so as to bring about the kingdom of God. I think that's a really important one. If you're investing in the market right now, consider what you really want to be building, because this is your money, like a gift that you've earned to build with. Build something great with it. I'd say that.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this clip. You can click here to watch the full episode. And I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors and to our amazing patrons for making all of this possible. Please do us a favor before you go. Click that subscribe button and then the bell. And that way YouTube will be forced to let you know every time we put out a new episode.